What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring people to do better, be better, look better, love better every day of their lives. And our Friday show, now presented by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and Sportsbook. Download the iCasino today and make Firekeepers your casino and sportsbook on the go like Jason and I have. I'm telling you, it's user-friendly. It is everything you've done with every sports book you've done everywhere, you can get at Firekeepers. And the other thing is, Firekeepers is a place you can go, a brick-and-mortar casino and sports book in Michigan. You know where it is, between Battle Creek and Kalamazoo. If you've ever been there, great casino experiences. Talking live shows, talking events, great meals, dining out. An awesome place that Jason and I have spent a lot of time in our lives and lost countless dollars and don't have a single regret about any of it. Jason, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I think I built one of the wings at Firekeepers with my gambling losses, but
yeah, it happens.
We'll get it back eventually, right?
That's right.
That's the attitude you have to have.
Just need a good week.
Yeah,
that's
$100 a day.
$100 a day.
Thanks, Ty Johnson last night. Junk touchdown for saving my ass last night. I had no idea I put $30 on Ty Johnson. Thanks, Skymint. So, fun night gambling.
Yeah. No, that was so I was thinking about this last night, how bad I am at this show. Not only was I mumbling and stumbling through that live read, because that's what I do when we have a new sponsor. I'm nervous. I'm ready to go.
When the lights are on, it's tough, man.
Yeah, it's not great. But beyond that, we're about to do our Groovy Donut Twitter questions here in a few minutes, and I was asked last week, like, worst travel experiences. And I couldn't even think of one doing the show. What makes you good at this is you think of, like, on-the-fly jail experience, running your own failed sports book.
Yeah.
And I started thinking the other day, I've had a million horrible travel experiences. I booked Chris Solari, and our photographer on a prop plane to Ithaca, New York, once. And I once missed a flight and had to drive in a Mercedes from Ithaca, same spot, separate trip, Ithaca to New York City for the Big Ten tournament. Took me 6 hours.
You had to drive
snow.
a Mercedes? I feel so bad for you.
Let me tell you how bad this was. Every other time you get an upgrade in a rental car to a Mercedes, you want it. When there's like,
of course, yeah.
When there's like 9 inches of fresh snow, not the time for that car. And at one point, it's one of those things where your GPS starts thinking it can, hey, I'll help you out. I'll give you a little shortcut. At one point, I'm in a neighborhood going up a hill for like a mile. The car won't go any further on this sheet of ice, and I had to go backwards in this car for a mile and a half in some random town in upstate New York on my way to the Big Ten tournament in 2018. So I've had lots of those experiences. And the fact that I couldn't think of it just reminded me how bad I am at this.
And what's worse is that you do the Twitter questions. So you saw that Twitter question, and you could have marked it for like, oh, here's my story here.
But yes.
Because I see them as they come up when you send them to me in the email. So it's equally as bad.
So we're going to dig into your Groovy Donut Twitter questions here in a sec. Before we do that, a new segment brought to you by Firekeepers Casino and Sportsbook, where we're going to dig into what we're betting this weekend. We go through our bets, obviously, on Tuesday or Wednesday night and go through the picks with Harry Gagnon. But this is what's on our card right now. This is where our money is. And for me that I'm not going to put money on or against Michigan State. So I may like Michigan State minus 3.
Street, everybody.
I may like Michigan State minus 3, and I do this week. But that's not where my money is. But here's where our money is this week, brought to you by Firekeepers Casino and Sportsbook. Jason, why don't you go first?
Yeah, and we talked about it with Harry on Wednesday, Tulsa, Cincinnati. I think if Cincinnati is pissed off and they want to get in this college football playoff, I think they're going to hammer Tulsa. I think Tulsa just doesn't care to be there. So I think Cincinnati has to hammer them, 45 19, 18, something like that.
And that
right?
line's like 22 and a half.
It's 22 and a hook. I
Yeah.
got it when it was 21 and a half. So if you want to do an alternate line in some way and throw that in a parlay, I just think Cincinnati has to hammer Tulsa. Also, Penn State at Maryland, Graham. 10 and a hook. Maryland's ass. And Penn State needs to show some people they can win a game on the road and hammer Maryland. I think that's a W as well.
Yeah, this week I'm more and more liking this. Rams -7 versus Titans.
Yeah.
Titans without Derrick Henry. I just something about that game. I really like the Rams, especially at -7. And this is a one that Harry kind of disagreed with me on a little bit, and I don't think you were as big on. Illinois +14.5 versus Minnesota. There's something about this one too. I really like Illinois making that competitive. I just feel like the talent on the field between those two teams isn't all that different at certain key spots. Illinois +14.5. I really like.
Not saying you were wrong. I just don't want to watch the game. When you mentioned the game, it just made me cringe. So that's what you heard.
And then Manchester United +1 at home against Man City, and home field advantage in the Premier League is enormous. Man City's a better club, but you give me +1, and so it's a push. If it's a loss at 1, I'll absolutely take it. I also like as a 2-team money line parlay, 2 underdogs, Man City +350 and West Ham +350 on the money line parlayed, and both big underdogs. West Ham's got Liverpool, but again, home field, both capable teams. A $50 bet pays almost $1,000 on that. To me, there's great value. You can make any of these bets again by downloading the Firekeepers iCasino, and or go to Dacey Sportsbook at Firekeepers. But if make Firekeepers your casino and sportsbook on the go, like Jason and I have, and they've got some really good deals. When you make your first deposit, you can receive up to $500 in Fire Eye credits, and when you make your first sports wager, they'll match it with a free bet up to $500. So you can get that by signing in and downloading the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook. Create your account today. All right, Jason, you ready to dig into these Groovy Donut Twitter questions?
Of course. Eric Schultz up first. After 8 games, do you think Peyton Thorne has the goods to beat a team like Penn State or Ohio State if they stop Kenneth Walker like Nebraska and Indiana did? Where do you think he's grown the most since early in the season?
So I think a couple things. One, I think he understands things very well, and I think he always has comprehended. But I think, and I think he's handled pressure pretty well all season. But I think just in key moments, you see growth from Indiana to Michigan, for example. Like they're trying to salt away the game at Indiana, and Peyton Thorne throws an interception in the touchdown where he misread something early and was too late getting over to that side of the field. Against Michigan, you're dealing with a 4th down late, and he's hitting Jaden Reed on a pretty outstanding pass, right, and a gutsy throw. I think he's just more comfortable. I think he's a guy who processes things very well, so he's learning all the time. I think that, and I do think he's got the goods to carry them more than he did early in the season. Now, against Ohio State, Penn State's defense is pretty good. We'll see to what degree that is, but I do have more faith in him to be able to do it when things go wrong than I did. Certainly, if you go back to the Nebraska game, that was sort of a disaster in the second half. The Miami game, it took him a minute. I think he's a much better quarterback than he was at that point in the season.
Next one from Eric. How much of the fact that many Michigan people talk smack leading into the game is because that's simply who they are as a fan base / program? There's a reason we continue to hate them despite being 10-4 in the last 14, and it's because arrogance and pomp seems to be in their DNA.
Yeah, it is. It is something that is in a segment of that. Look, we saw it with Taylor Lewan. We saw it with Braylon Edwards.
My friend Jordan.
Your friend
sat there and didn't talk to us for an hour.
Yeah, but
stared straight ahead.
Have you talked to him, by the way? You guys doing all right?
We're all good. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Good. But you see it, and Taylor Lewan, to his credit, sort of said he deserved everything he got after that. But there's a guy who was, I think, 1-4 or something like that this time at Michigan against Michigan State.
But you can't just do that. You can't come out and go, "Oh yeah, my bad." You got to take some shit, right?
You do,
and I guess he has, but
you do have to take.
You can't talk all that shit and then all of a sudden come out and have a press conference and be like, "Oh, it's just joking around. It's just a rivalry, right?"
I do think at some point it begins to turn, and I think that point is now, and not that it's out of certain people's DNA, but what I mean is it gets to a point where it is 10-4 in the last 14, but it's now 2 coaches. It's 2 coaches versus 3 Michigan coaches. It's it's a program thing now, right? Michigan State, Mel Tucker's 2-0. This isn't just the Mark D'Antonio era. It's like when Tom Izzo leaves Michigan State, there will be a moment where the next coach is going to have to prove, not just against Michigan, but everywhere, that Michigan State is still a relevant basketball program. Mel Tucker has done that now. He's beaten Michigan twice. So in that rivalry, that hold, that grip is there. And at this point, you just sound kind of ignorant and stupid if you're being smug on the other side.
Next one from Eric. How amazing is it that Michigan constantly plays the victim card when they're on the one on top 10 halves in the entire sport? How amazing is it that Michigan constantly plays the victim card when they're one of the top 10 halves in the entire sport? Sorry.
No, all good. I mean, again, I think it's a smaller percent of the population, but it's a vocal and visible one, and they are a have. Michigan State's a have. Michigan is more than Michigan State is a have, and you see it with the calls and I think even Jim Harbaugh didn't play that perfectly in terms of his assessment of what.
Yeah, but
happened.
what do you think he's going to say? I mean, that's what Michigan fans want to hear, though.
But I will say
about calls.
Don't you think Michigan State fans, though, if you reverse the game, Michigan State fans would have some of the same complaints?
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They do too.
Dominic up next. Does Graham promise me that 1999 won't happen again? Will he give me some no spin zone comfort speak? We're 1-0 with that approach.
Caution! You are about to enter the spin zone with noted newspaper columnist and radio host Graham Couch.
So, Purdue does not have Drew Brees. They've got a quarterback who's apt to turn the ball over quite a bit. They've been drubbed by a couple decent teams, but a Wisconsin team that I don't think is that great. They've got a couple things going for them, a good defensive end and a great receiver. But Michigan State can overcome that. They overcame a great defensive end this week. I think this MSU team's more focused than a lot of those teams that have gone down there. I think they've heard all the talk, that they've seen the point spread. They know a lot of people think this could be an upset. I think this is more likely to be a 14-point Michigan State win than it is a Purdue victory. I think it's more likely to be comfortable than an upset, if that helps.
They don't have a Drew Brees over there?
What am I going to say?
They have a David Blau over there?
Look, I'm trying to help Dominic out here.
I understand. Dominic, Kirk Cousins, being a Christ-touting science denier, is considerably better than Aaron Rodgers' dead-ass lying like a bitch just to avoid safety protocols. Agree or not?
So the Aaron Rodgers situation is a little different, a little weird, right? Like, I mean, he said, and I haven't read everything, but he said he was immunized, and people assumed that meant he was vaccinated. But I'm sure the team knew, right?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Well, he hates the team, right?
But
so why would he tell them?
Don't you have to show your vaccination card or something? Or did he get one of those McLovin ones?
Yeah, that's a possibility. Or they just didn't ask him. They just trusted Aaron Rodgers. I would think, if I had to guess, that Aaron Rodgers would be vaccinated.
Me too.
Right? I just would think that as you draft a backup quarterback. That's why he probably doesn't tell you anything. But, I mean, so is he coming out and saying that he wasn't?
Yeah, he's not vaccinated.
But not vaccinated, okay.
Because if he was vaccinated, he wouldn't automatically be out this week because he could have tested out of it.
Okay.
So he's not vaccinated.
So he lied.
Or he misled them. Whether it was
I don't know. I saw a video of them asking him point blank, "Are you vaccinated?"
And he says he's immunized.
All right.
So like he's had it, or he had some other thing. I don't know. Yeah. No, I would say Kirk Cousins being himself. I mean, you know where Kirk Cousins stands, at least.
Yeah.
I don't know if
we know now with Aaron Rodgers too, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're the same. Next one from Dominic. How does Graham build a rapport with a newer head coach? Does it just kind of happen organically? Do you think Mel Tucker likes you? Do you like Mel?
It doesn't just happen. I mean, you have to work at those things. It doesn't happen organically.
Do you call him coach?
No. I don't know if he likes me. I don't know that I've given him a reason not to. I don't have a reason not to like him, other than I don't love some of the changes in access and the ability to tell stories in terms of how we do interviews. We used to, even earlier this season, they would, even in the post-COVID era, they would have like 7 guys out at once, and they would each be in these little stations behind like a small rope, but you'd be like 3 feet away from them, and able to sort of have a conversation. And now it's all done for the purposes of video and their own internal video folks, I think, at a podium and press conference style. The kids don't get to know you. You don't get to have a real conversation. There are stories I've done this year that would not have been done. I wouldn't even have attempted them. I just wouldn't have done them. I wouldn't have written the story on the nutritionist, would not have written the story on Luke Campbell. And so I'm hoping that changes, and I'll get to talk to Mel about that after the season, but why I think it's important to do it another way. But so I don't like that particular thing for a guy who says he appreciates the media, making it very hard for us to do our jobs well, I think, in that one capacity. But I have no reason not to like Mel Tucker. He hasn't given me a reason. He hasn't treated me unfairly. He hasn't treated me other than making that difficult. He hasn't been disrespectful. And
did he look through you?
No, he's never done that. And I, you know, from people I've talked to who know him better than I do, I think a lot of people think he is genuinely a good dude.
So let me get this straight. When you first have a sit-down with Mel Tucker, you're going to talk to him about what he's doing wrong with the media.
Well, I've had sit-downs with him over Zoom last year. I've had one-on-one.
Right, but okay.
But no, it won't even be a thing like it might be a group of us that I think I would like to get together with him and to just say, hey, this would be helpful going forward. Gotcha. And here's why it would benefit your players and your program. Like, you never get to know a kid in the setup we're doing. You can get a one-on-one occasionally or whatever, but the way it used to be, kids got to know you. They got comfortable with you, and it led to a lot of good stories. And I also don't like TV people getting all the advantages when they just sit there with their cameras, collecting every bit of information you get, asking questions like, how does this feel? Or even the internal people who don't, I mean, they just sit there. They don't have to do anything. They just get all the information.
On that 4th and 1 play, what was your mindset? Next one from Dominic. Even when Graham infamously or famously, I can't say this, tweeted that Ohio State would beat Michigan State 50-2 when Connor Cook was ruled out last minute, how did he also not put everything he owned on Ohio State? Forget ethics BS. We are all degenerates here. Well, Graham can't, you know.
I can't.
Yeah, Herb Street.
Couple things. One, it was on the pregame show I do with Will Tiemann, or I used to do pre-COVID. He got it. And so there wasn't a lot of time. There might have been 15, 20 minutes. There was enough to get a bet in. Like if you've got the Firekeepers app, we didn't have that back then, but I have my guy. You know, I have a guy. But you know, if you have the Firekeepers app, you don't need more than a couple minutes, if that, to just log on and get your bet in. But there's the ethics of it. And I'll tell you why that would have been a bad play. Depending on how much money you were to put on that. Michigan State wins that game 17-14. It's one of the big moments in Michigan State football history. I've got to attack that storyline with a clear head.
Why?
If I'm pissed off that I've just dropped several $100s, or 2009 Graham showed up and there's like $1,000 just blown.
I'd rather read that.
The angry column that Michigan State screwed me.
As a gambler, that'd be great.
Yeah, it would not
just see the angst and anger in it.
It would not be good for my job. But that's why you don't do it, because emotionally I need to be able to look at that from a clear head. I don't want to be rooting for it, rooting against it. I need to sort of take it all in and be able to write clearly on it.
That was like Musburger back in the day. You could kind of tell by halftime. Him and Al Michaels, you can kind of tell where they're leaning with the calls. Dominic, when Izzo told Graham not to coach his team, what did you say to prompt it?
Don't coach my team.
He was at Illinois, and
He's got
usually
a
stupid-looking face.
That's what you said.
Usually, this is the problem with Izzo. Tucker's a lot better than this than Izzo. When you ask Izzo a question, he sometimes doesn't give you time to finish it. You really need to think about the question, because he just assumes you're going somewhere. Like if you've got a question that's a little convoluted, a little longer, or needs some setup, Hondo Carpenter style question, you need to spit it out quick. And I don't even think I'd gotten to the point what I was trying to explain to him or ask him. And he just sort of snapped. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know he started yelling again when I was walking with him, because a lot of times back then we used to walk to we'd walk sort of the locker room with him, and he was all ticked. And then I'm trying to explain what I'm asking, and then he's okay with it, and then he's mad at his team. Because usually when he snaps at a player, he's mad at a player. Or he snaps at you, he's mad at a player. But he can't do that in that setting the same way. So he'll snap at you, and then you'll be walking with him back, and he'll be like, fuck that guy. He's talking about his own player. He's not happy. And so that's just the way that usually breaks. before we get to maybe here, this weekend only at Groovy Donuts, the New York style cheesecake donut. And there have been a lot of donuts that Groovy Donuts has had over time that I've drooled over. This is near the top. Light, fluffy yeast donut with cream cheese filling, topped with vanilla icing, graham cracker crumble, and a drizzle of caramel icing. It is available for pre-order only, so go to groovydonuts.com and place your order at the online store or by calling or visiting the East Lansing or Williamston locations. They're open Thursday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. groovydonuts.com for pre-order only. And if you see the picture of it, it's something. It's beauty.
All right, maybe. Is MSU football a lock to be playing on New Year's Day?
Well, not if I believe the college football playoff games are back on New Year's Eve. So that if they were to get to the playoff, it's New Year's Eve. I think otherwise, and I think yes. Not a lock. I mean, I guess if things would really fall off the rails. But let's say they win one of their next. Let's say they go 9-3. I think they wind up. Yeah, I guess it's possible. 10-2, they're for sure playing on New Year's Day. I think 9-3, they get there, depending on what's around them and where how many people from the Big Ten are in the New Year's Six bowls and all that stuff. But whether it's the Rose Bowl or the Citrus Bowl or whatever, I think they're very close to locking in a New Year's Day game. And I think if they beat Purdue, and I think they will beat Maryland, if they win this week, I think you can count on them playing on New Year's Day, or if things go perfectly well, New Year's Eve.
GR Wine Guy, if MSU wins this weekend, it'll be the first 9-0 start since the 1960s. Is it fair to believe in a special season a la 2013 and 2015, or do we have to wait till November 20th in Columbus?
Well, I think it's a special season either way, even if they lose that game. I mean, because this was a 4.5 win.
Yeah.
Like the over-under for the season was 4.5. This wasn't they're expected to win 8 or 9, and they're 8-0 already. They were expected to win, and we thought that was a low over-under, right? We told everybody to hammer it, Yep. But it's especially the way. If they get hammered by Ohio State, it might feel a little less special. But if they go 11-1 or 10-2, it's a really special year. And the way to beat Michigan, the way they've won some of these games, the Kenneth Walker experience, I think you're pretty safely there. And you said if they win this weekend, right? So 9-0, it's a special season either way.
Max Christians, who's more likely to come back for a 5th year, Gabe Brown or Marcus Bingham? Who should we as fans want to come back more?
That's a really good question. They're both I think, going to have a decision. They're both interesting in a way that most people aren't. So they're sort of in a category together, I think. Now, they may make separate decisions, but what I mean by that is you don't get a lot of guys who finish 4 years and where I think their pro prospects could benefit from a 5th year. Usually by the end of 4 years, is somebody a pro? What sort of opportunity are they going to get in the NBA or overseas? What they are but both these guys have like pro potential in terms of their frames and certain elements of their skill set, and yet they're not guys yet we trust to be that night in and night out. Bingham looked like it last night in the exhibition. Gabe Brown, Gabe Brown's a guy I'm really interested to watch. Is he a guy who, when they play Kansas, can he look like a leading scorer type, a leading man type? We just haven't seen it from him consistently or in big games throughout his career. Bingham, for whatever reason, I just have a little more faith in that sense. But at the end of the year, the other thing that will matter is what's Max Christie do? So when you're talking about log jams and what you want back, like if Max Christie's a one-and-done kid, you may really want Gabe Brown back. If Max Christie's coming back and Gabe Brown sort of played his, had a good senior year and you've got somebody else coming in, like maybe it's time, like in terms of who you'd want back. But I think both those guys are going to be interesting decisions, and I think it could benefit from their NBA perspective for both those guys to come back depending on how this year goes.
Riley up next. If MSU goes to the Rose Bowl, is the fan turnout as big as it was in 2014? By the way, your pod got me through a few miles of the Chicago Marathon last month. Was pretty exhausted afterward, but still not as tired as I get each Wednesday when Graham gives his Premier League best bet picks.
Thank you, Riley.
Appreciate you, Riley. By the way, if anyone's listening, come on, keep going. Keep running.
Oh, yeah. If
You're
this is
almost
your
there.
marathon, yeah. 2 more miles. 2 more miles. 1 foot in front of the other.
Cockburn.
That's not your shin that's hurting. That's just something else. Don't worry about it. Just keep going.
I would quit. I would have quit a while ago.
Yeah, well, and you've also given you probably do it the way Therese does marathons, right? Which is to walk them.
No, I would get in the car and drive halfway and then put on the stuff like that one lady did back in the 80s.
Oh, the imposter comes in from the end.
Yeah, I rode a train.
So
New York Marathon.
The other thing is we haven't. So there are probably new listeners who don't know this. Like we've had this debate before. If you walk a half marathon, did you do a half marathon?
Technically, you did. I'm talking about bragging. Can you brag about doing it? Can you get one of those, whatever, 5K running stickers that the people have?
Because that's what Therese did, right?
She didn't get the sticker, but I was just saying there's no way, and if you're in the company of like marathon runners, that you can say, oh, yeah, that race, yeah, I did that. It's just not, you can't do that. That's all I was saying. It's nobody. It was for charity. Good for you. I just said you couldn't brag about it. That's
right. Because it's something that you and I could do.
Yeah, of course.
We could walk that.
I mean, it would take a while, but
we could get
bored.
Yeah. So the question though is whether the fan turnout at the Rose Bowl will be as big as January 1st, 2014. The answer is no. For a couple reasons. I don't think as many people will travel at this stage of post-pandemic, and there was so much pent-up energy to go to Pasadena that year. I mean, it again, talking to the people out there, I think they said Wisconsin 93 was the last time they saw it like that. There were people who meant to go in 88 and didn't do it and were regretting it. There were people just waiting, that said next time we'll go, and then it finally happened.
Right.
Even my parents went with my sister. My dad, for example, because he used to say when I was a kid, if they ever go to the Rose Bowl again, we'll go. And this was, I was a teenager or whatever. And then so all of a sudden they start looking at tickets and everything, and it's going to be a hassle. It's going to be expensive. And my parents are real good at saying, I don't think we'll be okay. We'll just watch it on TV. And to my sister's credit, and my sister I don't think cared a ton. I mean, she doesn't watch every MSU football game or anything. But she said, the fuck you will. Like, you've been talking about this for 20 years. We're going to the game, and they all went. And I think a lot of people felt like that. I don't think it'll have the same vibe. It'll be people be ready for it. It'll be a good turnout. It just won't be like that.
Aaron in D.C., is this MSU team closer to the 2013 team or the 2015 team? 2013 was underrated all year long and legitimately could have been the best team in the nation, while 2015 was a flawed team that got exposed first by Nebraska and then by Alabama.
Yeah, this seems closer to 2015 because 2013 could win a national title. It's the best team in modern times at MSU. To me, they could have won that year. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that team and that defense get a shot a lot of years. There have been Clemson, LSU, Bama teams at their best that I don't think that team could have beaten, but there have been years that national championships have been crowned where 2013 could have absolutely been in that discussion and had a chance. So closer to 2015, just in terms of a level, I should say.
Jay Riemenschneider, MSU fans seem to want Harbaugh to stay. Are they fine going about 500 versus him, or are they thinking that they'll go above and Michigan will never win anything big as long as Harbaugh is there?
Well, I think there's always the nerves that you strike gold, right? I think while you can get worse than Harbaugh, I think they're comfortable with Harbaugh never dominating the rivalry against Michigan State, right? Would you say that sort of?
And like you said, though, it's a great job, and people want that kind of that Michigan job, and maybe they can find a quarterback unlike Harbaugh did, right? I mean, if you get things rolling in a Mel Tucker way at Michigan like that, you're kind of unstoppable almost.
It certainly is a dynamic Michigan State fans don't want to see.
Right.
And they're willing to take Harbaugh, even if that's 500 against Harbaugh, over maybe you get Brady Hoke again and you can just cream him. I think that they'll take what they get. To Aaron's question also before, by the way, this season is more like 2013 in terms of momentum and build up and excitement, though. 2015 was a difficult slog. I mean, people were, they've been winning for a while. It didn't have so there are elements of all that are in play here.
Next one from Jay. Does our state have the two hottest coaches in their respective college sports, men's basketball and football?
Talking about Mel Tucker and Juwan Howard here. Mel Tucker is certainly as hot a name as there is in college football, and Juwan Howard is up there in basketball, and certainly in terms of other jobs that people would want them for. I mean, there might be somebody in each sport I'm just sort of missing here. And there's always Jimbo Fisher, who everybody wants, and I don't really get. But I also don't listen to people with Southern accents as well as I do people with Midwest accents.
Why? Because you think you're stupid?
I didn't say that. I just...
You hear this accent, you think automatically stupid?
Didn't say that. Just wouldn't.
Why? Because I go fishing?
Wouldn't go to a school where I was going to be talked to all day by somebody with a Southern accent, because eventually it would drive me insane. I like.
Me feel smarter.
I love women with Southern accents. I think that's insanely sexy.
Hey, you got a wife, man.
I didn't.
Don't be a creep.
Two things. One, I know that.
Don't get canceled.
B, she's not allowed to listen.
Next one from Jay. This is a more concise take on a question I asked you guys before, but you said it would take too long to answer. So at this point in your life, which of these is more enjoyable? A good meal, a good sleep, a good buzz / high, a good round of intimacy?
Boy, all those things are really enjoyable.
Getting high and getting laid is great.
Is outstanding.
At 42, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, everybody asks, like, booze or weed when you're having sex. It's like weed, hands down. Cannabis, hands down.
You don't want to go too heavy on the whiskey before.
Dude.
There's a problem.
When I used to drink, just an absolute mess.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, Skymint much better for sex than any
1,000%.
sort of than booze, without question. Yeah, to answer that, I mean, you're talking to Raccoon Graham here in certain times. So, but
are you like Costanza? You would just like to combine
the
both,
trifecta,
like eat while having sex.
The trifecta. And watch sports and TV. Is that what he's trying to do? It's like a...
Yep.
Yeah. No, that would probably be it.
It wouldn't fly.
No, it would not. It would not fly.
Steve, recent disagreement with the spouse ended with, "We'll fix that in post." Did not work. Why? FYI, not a story worth retelling.
Well...
Happy wife, happy life. Am I right?
Yeah. Always, any story we're telling is presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue, here in downtown Lansing. Great place to spend part of your weekend. Probably not going to the games. Obviously, you're not going to be tailgating like you might have last weekend. A brunch at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing on Saturday or Sunday. Great way to start your weekend. They have mimosa flights, an outstanding menu. Just a great vibe and cozy but spacious. I think you'll love the place. It's my go-to place to take somebody from out of town just to give a sense of what I like, who I am, just to chat with a coworker. Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing.
Stacy Krauge is up next. I think I said that right. Taking the kids to West Lafayette for the MSU game. Any restaurant recommendations for lunch somewhere near Front 43 Midtown Brewing Standards? And from Eric Ziegler, heading to West Lafayette on Saturday. Anything we shouldn't miss? Bars, restaurants, whatever.
So, yeah, the place that I would recommend for both of these is Nine Irish Brothers. And I think there are two of them in Lafayette. There's one in West Lafayette, one in Lafayette. Gosh, I can't remember. They're both kind of cool Irish, traditional Irish pub. Good food, good vibe. You can do I've had a great lunch there. I've had great post-game drinks with, like, Chris Solari standing on chairs, that sort of fun. They're good places to go. Great Guinness, and so I think it works for both. And the thing about Lafayette in that area is it's not great. It's not one of the best college towns that exists. And I haven't done a lot of the I can give you 3 or 4 places in a lot of other towns, but Nine Irish Brothers for both taking the kids for lunch. I recommend. It depends on if they're finicky though. Irish food but they have burgers and things like that. So that would be my recommendation.
Jim Harden, what do you think the average minute breakdown will be for MSU's 3 centers?
So I think it's firmly Marcus Bingham's gig now. I think that's sort of changed from a year ago where it could be matchup dependent. It could be how he played the game before. Like, Bingham's the starter. And I think he'll play half the game unless he's in foul trouble. And I think he'll play more than that. I think you're looking at like 24 minutes a game from Marcus Bingham. and the other two guys, and it won't just be the other guys play the 16 too, Matty Sissoko and Julius Marble. I think you're also going to see occasional lineups with Hauser at the 5 against certain matchups, so they can play Malik Hall at the 4 and him at the 5 together. But I would go 22 to 24 minutes for Marcus Bingham, 12-ish for the other two centers, and it'll depend on the matchup, and then an average of 4 to 6 with Hauser and Hall together.
Jim Harden with this one. If MSU loses to Ohio State but wins the rest, if Michigan wins out, including Ohio State, all three finish with one conference loss. Who wins the Big Ten East and plays in the conference championship?
I think it goes down to it's like tiebreaker 5 or 6, and it has to do with the other divisions, your record against, or the opponents you played in the other division, their record. So it doesn't help Michigan State, because I believe Minnesota and Wisconsin are both on the schedules of Ohio State, and Michigan has Wisconsin, and one has Minnesota, and one that might have both. I can't remember exactly, but Michigan State doesn't have either of those teams that are going to be near the top. And so I think it's that. It's not a great tiebreaker, to be honest, for Michigan State.
Nate Breen, hypothetical. Up 10 minutes with 4 minutes left. Is Mel Tucker going for style points by trying to add on another score or make sure to conservatively win the game?
Well, I think he's different than Mark D'Antonio in this sense.
Yeah.
Because I think he views the way to win the game is to add points. And now you may not take certain chances, but we've seen already on 4th down the willingness to go to risk for risk. We've seen him go for it on 4th down in certain ways this year when he thinks he has the goods. I think he's about, and there have been a couple examples where this hasn't been there. There was one strange situation earlier in the year where he didn't go for it, which was kind of weird. But largely, they're trying to add points. Look at the way they finished against Miami. They weren't salting anything away. They were throwing bombs, haymakers to win that game.
Jeff Haddis, will one of MSU's backup running backs transfer?
Well, they got a lot of somebody's probably going to leave. But when you talk about, like Elijah Collins, there's a good video of him talking about Kenneth Walker on the sidelines. Collins is interesting. Collins is a kid with a lot of really good perspective, I think. The other thing that helps is Kenneth Walker's clearly a one-year dude. So if you're one of the backups, yeah, you could transfer. But if Kenneth Walker was coming back for another year, it'd be like, well, I don't know if I want to sit again. But if you're behind Kenneth Walker, you got to believe you have a chance to be the guy or at least part of the mix a year from now. I think that the situation is almost perfect. Now, if they go in December and bring in another transfer running back who looks like a stud, maybe you reconsider. But right now, somebody will leave just because there's always, I think that's going to be the way this world works now. But like Elijah Collins or Jordan Simmons, I wouldn't be surprised if both those guys are back next year.
Next one from Jeff. Is Tucker's current success preventing him from flirting with LSU and seemingly deep postseason run upon us?
No, I don't think it is. At any point, if anything, it's would only make LSU more interested in him, right? But I do think if they get into if they get into a situation where the Rose Bowl, for example, I don't think you leave MSU when you take them to a Rose Bowl, even if you're not in the playoff, before you play in that game. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like that's not a good time. Like, you want to experience that. It's too big a deal. And so what you really want, if you're Michigan State, is to get to something that's such a big deal that it's awkward to leave. Whereas, like the Citrus Bowl, the Outback Bowl, those sort of games, if a coach wants to leave, it's a little like, okay, that, the opening is there. Here's the other thing I think, and somebody brought this up to me either on this show or separately recently, and I apologize for forgetting. But all the talk about, it was Feldman had another thing about, Jimbo Fisher being the number one target of the athletic director. I'm not sure that Mel Tucker is at a point right now where he wants to be anybody's second choice. I think the more that stuff comes out, the less likely Tucker is to leave.
All right, next one from Jeff. Now that Firekeepers is the presenting sponsor on Friday, who am I supposed to invest my gambling winnings with?
Still Mark and Jay. Mark and Jay are our new Sunday night show sponsor, Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management. So you download the Firekeepers iCasino app, you win all the cash in the world, and then you call Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management, and they'll take care of you and free consultation, of course, if you mention Couch in the Roof, see if they're a fit for you.
Stephen Campbell, what positions will Tucker go after through the portal?
It depends who leaves, right? And it depends what he thinks he's got, and also I think who approaches him. Jason, I got to think they're going to be, after what the success of Kenneth Walker and some of these transfers, I got to think Michigan State's going to kind of be a destination point in the near term for transfers, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just with Mel Tucker alone, not to mention what Kenneth Walker did. But if guys sit there and think that they can just come in and recreate what Kenneth Walker is doing, I mean, he's a special kind of athlete that obviously we didn't see at Wake Forest. But
it's not just a running back, right? They've had two corners starting a lot of the season who are transfers. They've got a linebacker starting who's a transfer. So, I do think that people will see the opportunities, the offensive line perhaps. But, I would not be surprised if you see a receiver added. And a running back will be interesting because I do think he believes he's got some good running backs on the roster already. And I don't know, and another transfer, that they brought in last year that is not played a ton. Like, they've got a lot of running backs, and it'll be interesting to see what he thinks of that position group.
Stephen Campbell, when will the swag be available for purchase?
So this is sort of our next thing we're looking to do here is the
when Treese gets off her ass, starts making some. No, just kidding.
No, we're looking to do some merchandise. We're looking to have some apparel, have some fun stuff. And we had some shirts and coffee mugs to give away at the Skymint tailgate. And for anybody who's there, and if by the way, if you would like, if you want to try Front 43 and Cask and Company or Midtown Brewing Company, reach out to us on Twitter, and we'll get you a gift card to give them a shot. But we'd like to do more of that so people can go and buy stuff, and we'll come up with some, college refs our ass shirts and other things like that.
Couch in the Rube thongs, am I right?
That's really the play.
For
right?
dudes.
That's the play. Yeah, no,
our demo.
That is the next step for us.
Professor, if you had to pick the current MSU football player who will make the best pro, who would it be?
I don't know. Who do you think it is? Kenneth Walker?
I don't know. Because he'll get drafted, maybe third, fourth round, because
maybe
running backs. Well, I'm just saying it's not his fault.
Yeah.
It's just running back position is kind of. I mean, look what the Ravens are doing. The Eagles, just any guy. But I think Jaden Reed. I just like his athleticism. I think that could translate.
No, I'm. Jaden Reed might be that, and Walker is. I think Walker will get a shot.
Sure.
At the next level is a guy that. Not just a shot like a look, but like a guy that people think might be their dude at running back. And so I think he's got a chance. I'm curious to see, like I really didn't see Kari Willis coming to the level that he's played in the NFL. So I'm curious to see a guy like Xavier Henderson and him translate. Not that they're the same player, but you know what I mean? Like, he's been a really good safety. I'm curious to see what his career is.
Next one, Professor, from Professor. If you had to pick a tattoo for your co-host, what would it be?
Cockburn.
Yeah, that's up there.
Right on the tramp stamp.
Yeah.
Cockburn.
I think the Thug Life, the Tupac, like having you with the Thug Life tattoo on the stomach. That would be great. And then we have to bet stuff with you, so you'd have to take your shirt off.
Yeah, that's
do the whole show with your shirt off.
That's the problem, right? It's needing to take the shirt off.
Yeah. Matt, up next. The biggest apparent weakness on the defense is lack of ability to get off the field on third downs. Would you ratchet up the blitzes, pressures, along with playing tighter coverage to try and improve it?
Well, I wouldn't do a lot to mess with this defense because I do think there are some weaknesses on it, and I think they have found a way to win. Like they've figured out who they are, and they're okay with it, right? Like, the one thing that would mess with this defense is if they did something that all of a sudden made them different in the red zone, or they were unable to make big plays late in games. Like, they gave up 552 yards to Michigan. They were just okay on third downs, and they gave up a lot of third downs over the middle to tight ends. But at the end, they were sticking the quarterback, knocking him out of the game. They were blowing up people on the edge. They were putting pressure on, and they were coming up with the interception. And they've done that throughout. Like, I don't know that I mess with the formula at this point for what this defense is. And this week will be really interesting because, again, you have a David Bell at Purdue who's, I think, obviously he's as good as any receiver maybe in the Big Ten, one of the best receivers nationally. And yet So you don't want that guy to be beating you deep. You want to keep him in front of you and make Purdue be patient. They've got a quarterback who will throw a pick here and there. Let him do that. Let him beat himself. Don't try to win every play, win the drive, win the game, and I think they do that pretty well.
All right, Al, up next. How will Cincinnati join in a Power 5 conference impact Big Ten football recruiting?
Yeah, I mean, they'll probably, as long as they're up, they'll be more in the mix. We've talked about Michigan State. One of the problems they had late under D'Antonio is they were losing guys to Cincinnati, to Kentucky. Those are the teams you want to beat for guys. And Cincinnati be in the mix more often. I think it'll be just one more school that's relevant in a crowded field. And in Ohio, where you want to get players, it may absolutely have an impact.
Yeah, but I mean, what if they go 13-0 or whatever and don't make the college football playoff?
That's true.
They go undefeated, and players see that and go, shit, we can never get there.
Well, will they see it, though?
Players? I think someone will let them know that Cincinnati, if you go there, you're not going to play in the playoff.
Yeah, but players still go to SEC schools despite the way parts of their fan base feel about them is black entertainment. You know what I mean? I'm in the old segregated South. I would use that. In other words, I don't see. I don't know if players see it like that. I don't know if players are as savvy as us. I would recruit dirty, by the way, if I was
kidding.
If I was recruiting in the Big Ten.
Do the show dirty. Why would you stop there?
Yeah.
Next one from Al. How will East Lansing's Brandon Johns do this year in Ann Arbor?
He's got a chance to start. I'm curious to see. I mean, they've got some guys who sort of play the position similar to him. I'm interested to see. He was really good at times last year. He in the postseason filling in for Isaiah Livers was, I thought, fantastic. And so I'm curious to see what he does when there's now expectations on him to be a guy for them.
Jack Hakala for Couch. Do you enjoy covering basketball or football more? Do y'all wash your hands with hot or cold water? There is a right answer.
Sorry, I didn't realize these were two things. I enjoy covering basketball more than football. It's just a little more intimate. I'm courtside. I've enjoyed. I like.
Graham played it.
I enjoy the sport. Yeah, I just understand the sport better. I can understand why things are happening. It doesn't look too fast for me. I understand football. I pretend to understand football well. Hot or cold water? What are you washing with?
Hot, piping hot.
Yeah, it
kills germs, right?
Yeah, sometimes usually hot. Sometimes you don't wait, for it to heat up, and you do cold.
Boil it.
Yeah.
Next one from Jack. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being most annoying, how annoyed do y'all get when the same hot take or question comes up?
Not really. I try to
75. 75 is my ranking, Jack.
Yeah, Jason gets annoyed. And some of them don't make it. Sometimes that's why one doesn't make it, or I'll try to pair them. But sometimes you have to ask them because you get morons like me who cannot remember their worst travel stories. And then I start thinking about all the different flights I missed and things I fucked up. And
did you listen back to the show, or did someone tell you, hey, Graham,
no,
seriously, you don't have a...
I forget what the exact travel experience was that I was thinking about the other day. It just popped in my head. And I was like, didn't we just have a Twitter question on this? How did I not come up with that? And partly because I've already forgotten which one it was. I was thinking of a different one that I brought up today. But, Did
you try it on Elizabeth?
That's part of the problem is I have no confidence in my stories, right?
She's beating you down mentally.
I mean, we've talked about this.
Yes.
When I start a story that's not going well, and I know I have when I start a story that I have 3 seconds to kind of grab her. Otherwise, her eyes start to drift. She's not interested. My story loses confidence, and then it's not succinct, and then it loses its punch, and everything kind of goes to hell.
But see, I understand that because I was at the pharmacy the other day and I was asking a question. As I was asking, the woman just gave me the craziest looking face, and I lost my train of thought. I'm like, what am I saying? Am I saying something foreign? What is happening here?
It used to happen to me with Xavier Tillman sometimes when I would be interviewing him because Tillman, and eventually I learned that Xavier Tillman was just listening intently, and he would give you a great answer, but he gave you these eyes that's the dumbest question I've ever heard. And so you would begin to lose confidence in your question, but then he was just... A lot of people give canned answers to questions. Tillman was taking in the question. It's just the way his eyes moved when he did it to give you a great answer. And that is a story worth telling, again, presented by our friends Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue. If you're looking for a date night this weekend, Midtown Brewing Company is as good as they come. Fantastic menus, something for everybody. They have a terrific salads, great comfort food like mac and cheese specials, things like that. outstanding burgers and sandwiches. Really just a fantastic menu and beer selection. And on a cozy, cold November night, the American Stout is my favorite beer in the world.
Steve Beckman up next. Is Graham going to wait until the Pick'em contest is over to post the results, or will he keep teasing us with them every week?
I'll be honest, they're probably not going to come up this week. I'm going to put it out. I have not had – I had a window on Wednesday and probably should have then and didn't get to it, and I've not had we've just got other things we got to do, and I've got to drive to Purdue and –
just contact Graham. I'll give you a gift card.
And I got to drive back from Purdue to take my wife to my wife's flying on a private plane on Sunday, which is pretty exciting. Yeah, big time. I'm making her do it. She's like, she's going with her company to Chicago, and she's like, I could just take the train. I don't need to go to Detroit. I'm like, if you can get on a private plane, you're getting on a private plane.
You have to.
I've never been on a private plane. Have you?
No.
Right. So
you would have heard about it.
I want to live vicariously through this experience. And she's like saying, well, what if the plane crashes? I'm like, well, then it's just another story we're telling.
Right. I don't know. Yeah. That's when you go, I don't know then.
Yeah.
But it's only to Chicago, though. So it's only like a 45-minute flight, but still.
It's still you're going up in a private plane. That's still
just
pretty
hanging
cool.
out as it lands. No, yeah. I'm not getting off.
It's very much Succession-like, if you've seen that show or whatever, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely not. Next one from Beckman. Why do you think MSU's run defense was so effective against Michigan?
Well, partly Michigan torched them in the past. They made it a focus. But I think MSU's run defense is good. Like, I think they have a good run defense. I think they've got the strength of their team is partly their defensive line on the interior. I think it also they've got they've tackled pretty well in space, and they have all year. Their safeties come up and do a good job. So I think that's part of it. It's a pretty good run defense, but it's a defense that always gives you something. And they gave up a lot in the passing game to a team that has not done a lot in the passing game.
I just like how you tell her, like, listen, you have to get on this private plane. And her first reaction is, what if it crashes?
What do you think you are, Patsy Cline? Come on, let's go.
Buddy Holly. Steve Beckman with this one. How many times do you think MSU came close to losing the Michigan game? I counted 7. The last 3 were in order. Thorin scramble to the left and near interception with 5:15 left. Andrell Anthony's catch out of bounds with 1:57 left. And McNamara's overthrown pass to Stanstrill with $1:50 left.
Yeah, I mean, there were a ton. I mean, obviously, the shin being down would have been a big play. I don't know if it would have entirely done it. I mean, Michigan State had some things go their way. I mean, that Anthony catch out of bounds wasn't out of bounds by much, and that would have changed things a little bit. And then they made some really, really big plays. But that's what MSU's done all year, and eventually, and there is some luck involved. You can be everything that MSU's football team is in terms of making the right plays and poise and staying with it and keep chopping and all that shit, and still have lost a game to Nebraska or Michigan or Indiana because something that happened didn't happen the same way.
And the last one from Beckman. If Jalen Naylor is out, who should take his place on kick returns?
I know people are going to want to say like Keon Coleman or something like that, but
is Naylor out?
We don't know that for sure, but I'm thinking he is. I don't think he's playing. I think you want to get him back for Ohio State. That's really the key. If it's a hand injury or whatever, that's a toughie for a receiver. But I mean, obviously, I think Jaden Reed's probably your best bet. But if you're going too deep, you want somebody you can trust. The thing you don't want to do against Purdue is turn the ball over unnecessarily, right? So I wouldn't put a freshman out there as a little raw or anything like that. You want somebody who you can trust to make good decisions and hold on to the ball. Don't try and get cute.
Jeff Oswald. Why was Kenneth Walker able to gash Michigan's D in ways he couldn't against Indiana and Nebraska? I think we had that before, but okay.
No, I don't think so. It was the other way. It was Michigan State's run defense, right?
I don't know.
Okay. Partly, I think it's the bye week. You have time to really plan for somebody. 2, the way Nebraska stunted late, I think screwed Michigan State up. They didn't adjust well. They moved right before the snap. And some of it's improvement. They ran behind the right side of the line a lot better than they have, which may speak to Michigan's defensive front. Or whatever, something they saw, but the way they ran a lot behind the left side of the line in previous games. They ran a lot more behind the right side of the line, which was interesting against Michigan.
Next one from Jeff. What's MSU have to do to upset the Jayhawks on Tuesday?
Like, I mean, the Jayhawks have like 5 guys who either at Kansas or elsewhere averaged double digits last year. And they're missing one guy who's out because of an arrest. But the real thing to me is I'm waiting to see like how real. I mean, they need Gabe Brown to be a dude, right? Gabe Brown's got to be a guy who isn't just a guy who scores 19 against Ferris State. That he's a guy that scores 19 against Kansas. I think Max Christie will be the guy that we think he's going to be. They need Marcus Bingham to be ready to be what he's been against Grand Valley State. And those are the things that sort of the upside and potential is that they could be right on par with Kansas. I just think there are a lot of things that we need to see that are true. They need this sort of Tyson Walker to Joey Hauser and Tyson Walker to everybody offense that's worked so well to keep working as the competition ratchets it up.
Next one from Jeff. Why'd Graham waste his Western Michigan CMU rivalry being bigger than MSU Michigan hot take on Wednesday's show?
Did I? Yeah, I don't know.
Did you say that?
I got into. I said at one point it was. It wasn't.
When?
I didn't say it was bigger. I just meant it was more.
Just to say, listen, Aaron Rodgers. Just say that you were filling time.
More two-sided.
You just said it. Hot mics. Something else.
It's sometimes.
When was that bigger?
It's sometimes. Sometimes
19 Prohibition. Don't give me that black and white TV shit.
Let's take a really quick break here, and we'll come back with more of your Twitter questions. We got Anthony Armour, David Jackson, Mojo Jojo, Paddington Bear, Gavin Haas, Jeff Peterson, Ryan Allen, Aaron Voss, and so on and so forth coming up next. Couch in the Roof presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, and our Friday show brought to you by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and Sportsbook. Couch in the Roof.
Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRoof20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. Trust matters, especially when it's your money. Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management work hard to build a relationship of trust by providing thoughtful, objective guidance and placing your interests first. Invest with knowledgeable financial advisors who are on your side. Call today and tell them you're a friend of the show for a no-cost, no-obligation consultation. 248-626-2000 and ask for Mark or Jay. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. If you're looking for a relaxed vibe, great food, and an outstanding beer selection, Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing is your place. Enjoy their famed chicken and waffle fries, fish and chips, or any of their delicious burgers or salads. Midtown Brewing Company also offers 40-plus beers on tap, including ciders and seasonal offerings and daily happy hour specials. The spacious and cozy vibe makes Midtown Brewing Company a perfect place for a beer with a friend, a work lunch, or to watch the games on its big screen TVs. If you'd rather eat at home, Midtown Brewing Company offers a terrific carryout menu and free delivery on orders of $20 or more. Visit MidtownBrewingCompany.net or stop by 402 South Washington in downtown Lansing for the Midtown Brewing Company experience.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
All right, Couch in the Rue, presented by Skyman Premium Cannabis, which has all sorts of specials going on right now. If you go to skymint.com, they've got game day specials. They've got November 4th through 7th specials, buy 2 8s and get another free. All sorts of really good offers. Go to skymint.com. And remember, anytime you're in a Skymint throughout Michigan, 3 in the greater Lansing area, use the Couch in the Rube promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off. And don't forget their game day bundle every Friday and Saturday, $25, tailgate vape, choice of gummies, et cetera, all sorts of cool stuff with them. And if you're looking to make some bets this weekend, and we know many of you are, download the Firekeepers Sportsbook and iCasino app. Join Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook and make your first deposit to receive up to $500 in Fire iCredits. Make your first sports wager, and they'll match it with a free bet of up to $500. Download that today. It's in every app store. Easy to do. It's become Jason and I's go-to sportsbook, and everything you want there. Live wagering. You want table games. They've got it at the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook. All right, back to your groovy donut sort of questions.
Anthony Armour, with how Saturday went and how far we are in the season already, I'm at peace with whatever happens the rest of the way. Does that make me a loser/bad fan? Yes, Anthony. Sorry.
Do you think so?
No.
Yeah, I think for people I get it. Like I mean, I obviously think 8-4 would make people a little like, I didn't finish well, but I think the way we've talked about this, how the idea that you remember the way people make you feel, and for 2 months, Michigan State football has made Michigan State football fans feel really good. Part of that started they started covering every spread at the beginning, so you're betting on them. At Firekeepers or anywhere, you are making money as them as a money line underdog from the get-go. Several games like that. And then they beat Michigan. And so in a epic game that'll be remembered historically. So, yeah, no, I get that feeling. I do think they probably need to win another game or two to feel okay at the end of it all.
Next one from Anthony. Any suggestions on what to do nice for my wife after still randomly yelling, "Tuck coming," #Tuck coming?
It kind of depends on when you're yelling it,
Yeah, don't do it in bed.
No, that's not good. So I would not do that. But maybe, a nice, if you can take her to a nice dinner at a place like Midtown Brewing Company.
Wow.
And, don't have a TV over your shoulder. Just keep focused on her. Maybe don't yell "Tuck coming" randomly in the middle of the meal.
Can't help it.
Yeah, it can be tough, but that would be my play.
David Jackson, I'm encouraged by your 3 quick takes from last night's basketball game. If your columns featured a 4th take, what would it have been last night? Give me 4, 5, and 6, Graham.
Yeah. No, it's a fair question because I do think at one point I was going to get into the point guard situation. I think that it's very clear at this point Tyson Walker is a notch above A.J. Hoggard. I think he's going to be out there more at critical times. There will be moments that I think Hoggard's going to play 15 minutes a game or so, but I think that sort of platoon situation I think is much more leaning towards Tyson Walker.
Next one from David. You've seen both exhibition basketball games. What the heck is with the free throw shooting? Sample size is small. I get it. But why are we shooting free throws like a church league team with a hangover?
It was not great last night, and they shouldn't be a bad free throw shooting. They got a lot of decent shooters. We'll see. I mean, it's one game. It's I can't even remember if it was an issue in the first game. But yeah, let's see it happen in the regular season. If it does, then it's an issue.
David Jackson with this one. Why play the games at all? Why not just announce the 4 teams now? Alabama at number 2? That's nothing more than an SEC ploy who seems to own the damn committee to justify keeping Bama in the playoff, even if they lose to Georgia. Do you agree with that the fix is likely in?
I mean, it's an advantageous spot for Bama. I'm a big more – I believe you should have to deserve your way in as much as, just be who we see when we see the eye test at your best. And that – because here's the problem. Here's the hypocrisy of the college football playoff selection committee. If you think Bama deserves to be number 2 right now because even having lost the game that they did to Texas A&M and not looking that impressive against a Florida team that isn't very good, you're saying, well, but at their best, we think that team's still elite. But then you're not fucking watching Cincinnati, who at their best destroyed Notre
Beats
Dame.
Navy by 7.
Well, yeah, but at their best, again, Alabama had a couple not great results either. I'm just saying at their best, they've looked great too. So that my issue
Cincinnati, Texas A&M, who wins?
is Cincinnati.
No.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati.
David Jackson, does the point spread tell us that America thinks we're not good? What would Ohio State be favored by in West Lafayette tomorrow? Hell, that would. What would Michigan be favored by?
Well, a couple things. One, it's -3 on the road, so that's about 6, right? If it was a neutral site, and 9 at home. So you're looking at, if Michigan State was home against Purdue, the spread would be about 9 points, which isn't that. So -3 on the road isn't this awful thing. I think Michigan would probably be what do you think, 6.5-point favorite?
Yeah,
Somewhere around there.
6.5, 7. Yeah.
Ohio State would be like a 14-point favorite. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yep.
Yeah, so there is that, absolutely. But the problem is Vegas is often closer to the reality than any poll or anything else that you'll ever see, and the line really hasn't budged. So there's money on both sides.
Mojo Jojo, is bend don't break also Graham's chair strategy?
I mean, Zion was a big deal because he was a huge guy, and I just broke my chair.
Next from Mojo, is it a snub that MSU is not in the top 25 basketball rankings, or is it accurate?
I don't know if it's neither is the answer. Like, I don't know that it's accurate, but nobody knows. First of all, the preseason basketball rankings by like the Associated Press, you want to talk about something that's just based on total ignorance. That's it. But in preseason rankings always are, and actually with the AP it only gets worse as the season begins. But I also don't think they're a team, given where they were last year. They're a team that lost in the play-in game of the NCAA tournament, and then lost the player that's perceived as their best player to the NBA. I mean, I get why they're not ranked, and I don't think that's a problem.
Okay. I think a lot of fans are okay with that.
I do too, yeah.
I mean, who cares? Mojo, with this one, what percentage of MSU fans are hoping for the Rose Bowl over the college football playoff? That game in 2015 was the worst live sports experience I've had. Bama fans are ass.
I think there is a percentage. I don't know what it is. So there's a couple ways to think of this. Let me ask you this, Jason. I mean, because obviously if you could exercise the demon of Alabama, you'd want to do it. But I don't know that this is the Michigan State team to do it. You know what I mean? Like, they've had a couple.
But you just talked about how Alabama, you're not impressed by them.
Right. No,
Could this be the year? I mean, maybe.
Yeah, this is a year that I don't think it would be 38-0 with this MSU team. This MSU team is better offensively than that MSU team was at that point with Connor Cook's shoulder and all that. That defense wasn't great by then. So, and Alabama isn't as good. So I would say that this is, it wouldn't be embarrassing. And that's really, if you're Michigan State and you get to the playoff, that's what you're looking for. Obviously, everybody'd like to win the game. You'd like to get to the final, you'd like to win a national championship. But what you want and what you'd feel amazing about is somehow getting to the playoff and then not being the team that got embarrassed when you get there. You lose 35-17 to Alabama, everybody's good with that.
I would take the blowout in college football playoff
to get there.
Yeah.
Over the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for the notoriety, the national attention that it would call.
And again, you want something over Michigan, who's not won a Big Ten title since 2004, who's not been you've been to the playoff twice.
Yeah.
You probably would have won another Big Ten title to get there.
And transfers are going to look at that and go, man, they're just like me away from beating Alabama.
Right. Look what they got going.
Yeah.
Yep.
Paddington Bear. Kenneth Walker is by far the most skilled MSU back of my lifetime. Feels like he has every tool. Do you have a comp for him? Where does he rank on the list of best college backs you've seen play?
There have been a lot of good. The guy that I thought was maybe the best college back that I remember, like Barry Sanders. I mean, he was obviously in college. I was 8. I didn't watch him play in college that much. The guy that I remember just destroying people was Adrian Peterson at Oklahoma. Like, I just remember like some of his runs just being, oh my. I'm not saying that's the comp. I'm just saying that, like, so I don't know where he ranks. There have been a lot of great college running backs.
I mean, Reggie Bush
was unbelievable.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's a great comp. If Ricky Williams was, in some ways I think he's different than Ricky Williams, but in other ways that's not a bad comparison. And going back to, by the way, to the previous question about the only team you want to avoid if you're Michigan State this year, I believe, is Georgia. That team just plays angry, plays violent.
That would be 38-0.
Yeah, you want, that's the team. If you can avoid Georgia in the playoffs, so Georgia's probably going to be 1. You don't want to be 4. And by the way, if Michigan State gets to the playoff, most likely they're not going to be, because they would have won the Big Ten title. I guess if if they lose a game somewhere and then beat Ohio State to get there, and they've got a one-loss team, maybe they wind up at 4.
Let's just beat Purdue. How about that?
Start there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gavin Haas, this year's basketball team is going to win the Natty, aren't they?
I love the optimism of 15-year-old Gavin Haas.
Why not?
Gavin, by the way, you got to let us know when you turn 16 so we stop
Feels
calling
like
you
he's
15.
been 15 forever.
Right. I'm
Like,
a little worried about that, you know.
is he like you? It doesn't tell his birthday?
Oh, when
It'd
you're
be
15.
quite the move when you're 15.
I feel like he might have just had one. I don't know. I do not. I think the real key for this Michigan. First of all, I think this Michigan State team could be a lot of fun. I think they could be competitive. I just did a season predictions column that went up today for LSJ subscribers. It's my annual kind of semi-serious look through the whole season, pick every game, and like I think they could have a really good season. I think there are a couple teams that I would pick ahead of them in the Big Ten, but I think as a group they have a chance to become something that's competing for a national title a year from now. The question will be Max Christie. The question will be Gabe Brown and Marcus Bingham. Who else is coming in? Like what they're able to roll over from this year to next.
Next one from Gavin. Is there a legitimate chance for us against Ohio State now? I feel like we have a better chance with the higher ranking.
I mean, if you watch enough Ohio State, first of all, Oregon beat them, right? And you watch them play Penn State, and I'm not as big a fan of their quarterback as some people are. I think it's at like 15, 20%. Like, I think there's a legitimate chance they could be in that game. They've got enough offense. Things go well enough. They got to stay healthy. Like, the Naylor thing is a big deal. Like, you're not going to beat Ohio State if Naylor's not back, I don't think. And so that's what they've been able to avoid all year. They've been healthy. And you need all your horses, all your guns, so to speak.
Last one from Gavin. Are the Lions going to get a win this year?
What would you say? The over-under is like 1.5 or something, right?
I would say no. Why? Which game? That was supposed to be the game, the Philadelphia game, by the way.
Yeah, but
multiple people told me last Sunday.
It's the teams that you don't expect them to beat, like the Ravens, where they're really close. So that could still happen again.
Wow.
It doesn't look good, though, does it?
No.
You know what I feel great about is I took an alternative line with 50 paying like 170 on them to finish less than 3.5.
When?
Before the season.
Oh, that's a nice bet. I like that.
Yeah.
Jeff Peterson. Any truth to the rumor that last night's exhibition game was a toot clown whistle fest? If true, I don't know if I can take another year of Big Ten referee season, also known as men's basketball.
I didn't, maybe it was bad. There was, a fair bit of fouls, but
how many?
I don't remember it being awful.
In an exhibition game?
Again, I was
calling it tight.
I was short on sleep, little punch drunk, trying to write the quick take. So I don't. Here's the problem. Everybody else is complaining about officials. When I'm writing the quick take, sometimes I desperately need clock stoppage. So
college refs are ass,
no doubt.
Right. Ryan Allen. Any chance MSU and Tucker bring in a high-level transfer quarterback next year? Not sold on Thorne in the last few games. I think he's played very inconsistent. Just wondering if you think Tucker could possibly land or push him with an elite transfer next year.
I doubt it because I don't think anybody's going to want to come in there. Do you? And play?
Are we too hard on Peyton Thorne?
And first of all, I think Thorne's playing pretty well. I disagree with your assessment, right?
Yeah.
Do you think Thorne's playing pretty well?
I think he is. I mean, with the offensive line switching that around, he's made some just brutal interceptions here and there, but I mean, that's going to happen, right? Well, and he in a season,
he had like for the first half of that game against Michigan, he couldn't take a 5-step drop without being in trouble. To move, like they couldn't do a lot of things because they couldn't protect him. I doubt they bring anybody in because I think it's his gig for the next 2 years, and I think that's a good thing for MSU.
Aaron Voss, do you know why Noah Harvey played such extended minutes in the second half, seemingly replacing Cal Halliday? I don't, and I didn't even really notice it that much. And it's not just because I think all white people look alike. I didn't notice it, and it's a question, and something certainly to watch this week if he's dinged up or something. Next one from Aaron. How long did you hold on to that L from Chase Winovich? Yeah, I did find it interesting that everybody that I wasn't the only person who remembered Winovich's comments, and you see that from Xavier Henderson. You see it from, and it was something definitely to write about. And when that happened a couple years ago, for those who don't remember, I quote tweeted something he had done, and he said, "Couch, will you do me this favor, hold this L or whatever?" And I walked right into it.
I don't know how I would have played it differently because it wound up being kind of a funny thing. Sometimes it's good to be the butt of the joke.
Why don't we have Groovy Donuts make the letter L and you eat that L?
I love it.
Am I
Groovy
right?
Donut. If Groovy Donuts could do the L with the I just closed
Capital
the screen with the with their donut of the week. Oh, fuck. Give me some Hoff because I want this donut.
Just don't take the mic down.
No. Oh, it's the New York style cheesecake donut. Yeah. This donut is going to be part of my weekend without question. By the way, Groovy Donuts open 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thursday through Sunday. 2 locations: Lake Lansing Road and Williamston. And there's just a difference. Groovy Donuts, the way the care and the product and the Monica and Andrew and their staff put into it, it's incredible. And they can do, if you've got a tailgate and you want some specialty things done for your team, say you live in Ovid and you want the Ovid Elsie football team.
That.
Yeah, they can make Ovid Elsie football team donuts. They can do whatever your gender reveal, gender transition, whatever your special moment is. They can make a donut and to help you celebrate that.
Spartan 18770. Graham, how long did it take you to get out of the campus Saturday?
I mean, I left late, so not long at all. I mean, there was no the way it works. So the game ends at what 3:30. Later than that, maybe. And
Baja beers?
I didn't leave till 8. I think I got somebody picked me up. I think it was like 8:30 p.m. around there, and nobody's left by then.
Spartan 18770 with this one. How many ice cream cookie sandwiches did you have Saturday? And are you on pace for 40 this season?
Under.
Hashtag Graham for Cookie Heisman.
Under.
Holy shit, I hope so.
Under 40 and at 0 this week. I am at 2 for the season. So, and there are 2 home games left? I would say I would put the over-under at 3.5 is where I would
call
set
bullshit. 3.5 that you've had?
No, I've had 2 so far. That's it.
Right. I don't believe that.
You don't?
Really? You don't get one every time you go?
No.
I don't believe that.
No, I don't.
All right. Next one from Spartan. Is it true that Peyton Thorne and you played soccer in elementary school?
We did not. We did not. And by the way,
Peyton Thorne's 40?
We don't have the budget for chairs if I kept eating one of those every time.
Oops. Hold on a second. Hold on. Hold on.
Okay.
I mean, Zion was a big deal because he was a huge guy, and I just broke my chair.
Cockburn.
Wasn't ready. Sorry. Andrew Gauthier, over under Lions wins at 1 and a hook.
I've seen that offered, and so where would you go?
What does it pay? Is it minus 110?
Say that's
you use
even money. What do you do?
Oh, I'd hammer the under.
Would you?
Yeah. When's this team going to win?
Yeah.
Show me a win. I don't think so. Even then, they have to win 2.
2. Yeah.
Shit.
I know.
Let's hammer that.
I'd probably go the.
Then I have to
under
watch the Lions. Screw that.
Yeah. No. And if you're going to hammer that, and the best place to do any live line, any adjusted line is the sports book at Firekeepers iCasino. You can also go to Firekeepers. If you've never been to Firekeepers, really cool complex and setup. And we used to, when I lived in Kalamazoo, by the way.
Okay.
If it was a really good bar night, it ended with a cab ride from Kalamazoo to Firekeepers, and from Lansing it's about 40 minutes. It's just not bad. It's a great place to hang out and play blackjack, have a meal, have a night out. Firekeepers Casino.
Andrew, with this one, is Cade Cunningham going to suck? This isn't a great start.
It's not a great start, but he's played 3 games. So somebody had asked that earlier. My whole thing is let's give him 10 full. First of all, you got to give him more time than that, but let's reassess at 10 games for Cade. Like he had a better day the other day. Like at 10 games, when Cade Cunningham's played 10 games, let's look at his last 5 games at that point. The first 5, coming off injury, getting your feet wet. Get to the 10-game point, and then we'll look at the last 5, and we'll assess what is Cade Cunningham right now as a rookie.
So after he plays 10 games, are you going to say, all right, let's see 25?
Well, we might have to, but I'm just saying.
Talk to me halfway. Talk to me at the All-Star break. Andrew Gauthier. I've heard all week that Purdue has no run game and a top-notch receiver. Will we see a reverse of last weekend and give up a ton of rushing yards but hold their passing game down?
I have no idea. But they we had our Purdue writer on Wednesday night, and he talked about them getting their running back, and so they were a little bit better there. to me, if Purdue runs the ball effectively against MSU, it's a problem. Like, that's not who Purdue's been, and that just really opens things up. I don't think that'll be the case.
Last one from the GOAT. I know Purdue is a dangerous team for highly ranked, but not overwhelmingly squads. But are we clenching our sphincters just a little too much on this one? MSU ought to be clear that MSU ought to be the clear favorite here, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument that the problem is we've seen the Indiana game, right? And Indiana then's been ass since. We've seen Nebraska and what they look like against MSU, and Purdue just beat Nebraska at Nebraska.
But it's ingrained in our brains, trap game on the road after a big win.
See, I don't think it's that at all. I don't think this is a trap game. I think this is how much better is Michigan State actually than Purdue, and I think that's why it is a good bet, though. I think MSU, at a certain point, you are what you are. And look at the turnovers Purdue's had. Look at some of the bad losses they've had. Yes, are they capable of coming up and beating a good team? But how good is Iowa anyway right now? Right? I mean, I think Michigan State's a better club. I think they ought to win. I picked it 27-20. I mean, Purdue doesn't have Kenneth Walker. Purdue doesn't have
that's a solid point.
The things going for it that Michigan State does. I just think from a physical standpoint, the biggest problem for Michigan State is it doesn't overwhelm anybody, which is good in the sense that I don't think MSU will ever have a letdown game this year. Michigan State's players know they've got to play. They're on the field. They know that what it feels like to play against Indiana, what it feels like to play against Nebraska. They know they're not dominating people physically. They know they're going to have to show up.
Did you just say Michigan State will not have a what?
What did I say?
They won't have a problem with any of their games? What did you say again?
No, I don't think so.
Won't have any letdown games. Yes. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
You promised that?
I promise.
Shit. Is this matchup proof time?
Wow. They're not matchup proof. Not this team.
Okay. That feels a little matchup proofy. Carl Milak, what is MSU's current record if Kenneth Walker did not transfer in?
It's a good question. They don't beat Michigan. That's for damn sure. I think that's pretty clear. I think they would have beaten Northwestern, just maybe not as right out of the chute like that.
I don't want to think about it.
I don't think they beat Miami because I don't think they're in position to. Nebraska, they couldn't do anything with him anyway, so they might have won that game. But they'd have probably 3 losses somewhere in there. Maybe 4-4, 5-3. 5-3 would be my guess. They'd be a different team. And it's not like they wouldn't have anybody running the football. It's not like they'd have to turn around and hand it to air. They'd have decent players. But so 5-3 would be my guess.
Next one from Carl. Will we see MSU's passing offense struggle on Saturday if a field stretcher like Naylor can't play? How would Naylor's absence impact this offense going forward if he misses a significant time?
Yeah, no, I think it impacts their ceiling greatly, and they're going to need their ceiling against Ohio State. So they need him back and playing well. And the real question is, a guy like Jaden Reed, is he ready to step up and be a dude to the level of, like, I'm not saying he's Charles Rogers. That's a different level. But what I mean by that is where it doesn't matter what the opponent does to you, you're just that good, and you're able to find yours. And are there younger players ready to, and Trey Mosley even, are they ready to make them pay if there's too much attention paid to Naylor? But yeah, it's a fair question because it does, I think, makes them less potent and less scary.
Max Spade, if the Lions could claim Odell Beckham Jr. off waivers tomorrow, would the locker room fall apart before or after Thanksgiving?
What's your
I feel bad for the guys on 97.1 that have to take that. I know Max isn't legitimate with that question, but I just can't imagine. Yeah, the Lions should probably pick up Odell Beckham. Before the next week. I mean, yeah, he's not going to want to go to Detroit,
it would be a nightmare, right? And the other thing
who
is,
wants Odell
why would
Beckham?
you do that, right?
I mean, even if you're a contender, why would you want to ruin your locker room with a guy that obviously his dad's filming him? If he doesn't get the ball, he's going to blame everybody.
Right. To me, you only want a guy like that if you feel like you're a receiver away from winning and you're not winning enough because you don't have that dude. Like he's got to be what you're missing. And the Lions would be,
Billy B, the Patriots, coming this way. Next one from Max. Could Tucker get an NFL head coaching job after this season? Should we worry more about than just LSU?
I think he's a college guy, but maybe. I mean, that is the question. Well, like, where does he see his end game? Does he want to be an NFL guy? I think he's done a nice job of turning college into sort of the NFL with free agents. I think he's got some advantages on college coaches that I don't know that he'd have on NFL coaches. That, the keep chopping and all the sayings and all those isms, that stuff works in college, not as much in the pros. I think he's right at the level he probably should be at.
Max Spade, how is legend, a.k.a. Jalen Watts Jackson, doing? What's he been up to?
Yeah, he works. We just did a piece. Nate Atkins, who's no longer with us. I mean, he's alive, but he's not.
He fucking died?
Yeah, no, he didn't die. Not that I know, but he's no longer with the. Yeah, once you leave the LSJ, we just kill you. That's our thing. No, but he just did a story on Jalen Watts Jackson. And Jalen Watt, I have a buddy who works with him over at Williams Auto World. He's really well liked by his coworkers, has a good job over there. And, it actually was at a Christmas party with Jalen Watts Jackson before the pandemic.
Dude, remember when the trouble with the snap? Like,
No, because the Christmas party was like all guys. It was my buddy who works at Williams, like all his coworkers. They deal with him every day.
Yeah, still, there's
in fact,
booze.
This is what's interesting. He gets just accosted on the Michigan game week. It's always people, all these interviews, all this stuff. And they told him at his work, they're like, you should just take that week off, man. I don't know how you deal with all the stuff. But he's doing well. Well-adjusted guy, nice guy. People, all I know is the people that know him well really like him.
Max Spade, is Maryland more of a trap game than Purdue?
So I would argue, yeah, because it's at home. It's not. Like, I don't think that game is there for Michigan State. I mean, Maryland just beat Indiana. Like, if you're Michigan State, you can really easily look around and go, oh, wait, they beat Indiana. We know what that Indiana game felt like. We know what a chore that was. They're capable. But more likely at home, winds up being a noon start, something like that. You don't give all the energy in the world.
I mean, we gave our Firekeepers picks at the beginning of the show, but what about Michigan at home against Maryland? Was that 21, 22?
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan has to win that game, right? They have to hammer Maryland.
That's not who Michigan has. Indiana.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
I meant Indiana.
It's around 21, 20 and a half. I think.
Freshman quarterback for Indiana.
Yeah. No,
Michigan has to do it, right?
You would think so. Actually, there were some lines out. You can get lines in advance sometimes too. And Michigan State was only a 2.5-point favorite against Maryland a few weeks ago, and you could take that line if you got that. Good on you. But yeah, no, I don't. I think the Michigan's a pretty good play this week. You can check out all the lines on the Firekeepers iCasino app and download it wherever you download your apps on your phone. And I think you're going to like it's very user friendly. Just a good setup, and you'll get some great specials for your first deposit and first bet.
Alex James with another subpar performance this Saturday. Is Thorne's job in jeopardy?
The subpar stuff. I don't see it.
And really
playing pretty well. And no, because the guy who's the backup, and Mel Tucker confirmed he's the backup this week, just got pulled over for like a DUI arrest 2 weeks ago. Russo's not replacing Thorne anytime soon.
Alex with this one: can anyone win the national title outside of Georgia, Bama, or Ohio State?
To me, it would take somebody upsetting Georgia, who is Bama or Ohio State, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like maybe somebody I don't know. Georgia looks ferocious, but it's going to take somebody who's close to Georgia, one of those teams, like beating Georgia, and then
or some
the
sort
path.
Of injuries to that defense.
Yeah,
right? I mean,
something's
I just
gonna
don't
happen.
see any team beating Georgia with that D.
If you watch Georgia play, it just I don't think Bama or Ohio State
because
are.
I've been on the other side of it 3 times this year. And
I've learned
my lesson.
Which games have you bet the other side?
Oh, I'd have to look.
Oh gosh, 3 times. Ouch. Yeah, not great.
Alex James, what is your go-to karaoke song? Does this change if you're on a date?
Oh, that's actually a good question. What is your go-to karaoke?
Man, I haven't done karaoke. I think my karaoke career's over because I stopped boozing, and booze was the only way I was going to get up in front of people and sing a song. So I think it's over. But if I were on a date, I've done it a couple times. Enrique Iglesias, Hero.
Really? I would love to hear that.
Yeah, girls really dig that. And then Take On Me by Aha.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the worst one I've ever done was I did Billy Joel's Italian Restaurant as a trio with 2 other guys. First of all, it's an 8-minute song.
What are you, the Wu-Tang Clan? Why do you need 3 guys up there?
I don't. It would just, again, you're not sober when you do
a
this.
song that has a bunch of rambling words.
Oh, it's very difficult. It was a disaster. And yeah, but you're not sober when you make these decisions. You're like, we can do this together. Yeah, let's do it together.
Yeah.
Let's get up there. And so that
you
was
need Treese wine drunk. She does that every Thanksgiving. She just gets super wine drunk and puts that song on repeat.
oh, it's beautiful.
Sings it 3
It's a good song by Billy Joel, not by me and my 2 buddies. Then it sucks.
But why did you have 2 other guys come up there? That was the whole thing when we did it. Is you had to go up alone and just absolutely eat shit.
Because
it was
maybe-
so bad. I used to do Neil Diamond America, and there was like a minute and a half interlude, and I would take the mic and walk through the crowd. It was the guy actually one time turned my microphone off. It was at the Irish pub thing that used to be over here off Saginaw.
Oh, the
You know what
old
I mean?
Irish pub
Yeah,
over
yeah.
by Linden and Saginaw?
Right
by where
they
I
used to have karaoke night like every Saturday, and oh my god.
Yeah, that's
So you'd have to we would get just ossified drunk, just Jaeger hammered, and get up there, and I don't know.
That is a story we're telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company. Begin either weekend day, I should say, with brunch at Midtown Brewing Company. Enjoy mimosa flights, chorizo, I can never get it right.
Chorizo, right?
Chorizo, right? Chorizo burgers. They got breakfast nachos. They're just really, really good, great brunch menu. Worth giving a try. Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue.
Mr. Benjen, reverse D'Antonio and Tucker, where Tucker, as he is now, enters in 2007, and 2007 Mark D'Antonio comes in last year. What's the same or different?
So Tucker came in 2007. I just don't think he's around. I don't think that's who, and D'Antonio comes in. D'Antonio wouldn't have gone through the transfer portal. So even if he had all the energy of a younger man, the problem is it probably would have been like Luke Fickell. And Luke Fickell, I think, might have won at Michigan State, but he would have kept D'Antonio's guys. They wouldn't be very good right now. It just so what would be different is that you'd be a 4-4 football team. You'd be looking at it more like a traditional build, I think.
Mr. Benjen, Michigan ran the flea flicker. MSU lined up and ran their offense and beat them. No fakes, fumblerooskies. Shocked?
I barely remember that. Do you remember Michigan's flea flicker?
No.
I don't either.
No.
Did it happen
After the
game?
tailgate and by the time I got at halftime? Did it happen after halftime? Because then it's just an absolute...
Yeah. I must have missed it on a quick take or something like that. And they probably did happen. Again, I can't even remember travel stories and things like that.
Yeah.
I do think, that... Oh, MSU lined up and ran their offense and beat... I'm confused.
Michigan ran the flea flicker. MSU lined up and ran their offense and beat them. He's saying that MSU didn't have to do anything.
Yeah. No, I thought MSU. What impressed me early was the things we thought didn't happen. Right, MSU could run the football and Michigan could throw it. So nothing we analyzed all week made any sense in this game.
Next one from Benjen. What's trashiest? A, choking out Walker. B, the score at 7-0 selfie. C, fraud ball, ref whining. D, all of the above. E, A and B, but not C. Fuck, I hated multiple choice.
Oh. What's trash? The choke out of Walker was pretty bad.
I don't know. The selfie after
selfie was
7-0.
It's not great.
I mean, it's become like a meme. Like that dude. What is that guy? The running backs coach or whatever?
Yeah, it's not great. It's not.
So he's going to have to live with that for the rest of his life?
It's not great.
The
choking out Walker happens all the time, but it was bad because you saw Walker like grabbing his neck. Like, oh my God.
Speaking of that guy, what happened to Trouble with the Snap kid? Did they ever try finding him? Is he still around?
I mean,
the kid with the glasses that looks like Bill Bender from the Sporting News?
I
didn't see him all week. I figured they would try to find him, or maybe he doesn't talk to anyone.
Yeah. No, is he like Bartman?
Bartman, yeah.
Yeah.
Nate, if it's not about the money and all about winning big for Tucker, wouldn't he be better off staying? Right now, only Ohio State's program is better than MSU's in division. LSU, on the other hand, has Bama, Texas A&M, Auburn, Ole Miss, and then either Oklahoma or Texas.
No, there's a fair point. It's sort of the talk about why Texas and Oklahoma would want to go to the SEC when there's it's an easier path in the Big 12. Money is one answer. Recruiting advantages when you're the only game in town in Louisiana. And if you want that environment and that life, you got to make that decision. Yeah, I don't think his path is any. Again, Ohio State's sort of in the way, and if you're LSU, you can at times be that Ohio State. How much longer does Saban do it? But MSU's not a bad place to be. He's the 13th highest paid coach. He's one of the halves. There are really only 6 to 8 programs in the country that you would look at of having more advantages than Michigan State. LSU is one of them. And but again, the competition is stiff.
But when we talk money, we're talking $3 more million a year
At least.
for Tucker. Now, there has to be some sort of, when you're making $6.5 million, you have things rolling and you can do no wrong. You can take $3 million less, right?
Well, and the other
especially if you have that kind of contract where you're going to get paid no matter what.
And if you're at a place where they like you and you like the AD and you think you're probably going to not only live out the like for this contract, you may get an extension in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So like Mel Tucker may make $5.5 million a year, but you multiply that by 6, and say he gets another contract in the middle of it. So say he's getting 9 years guaranteed. He's getting about $50 million guaranteed. Now he may get that in one deal at LSU, but it's not.
How much money do you need? You have a basketball court in your house, like next to your office.
It's not a bad spot.
No. Old soldier. If you were not hosting your own podcast, which MSU sports pod would you be listening to?
I don't listen to many of them. I've been on some of them and enjoy different. I like Matt Sheehan's Locked On Spartans thing. I think he does a nice job. And that's just I've only listened to him once or twice, but more of it is just based on the experience in the interview. But I don't. I mean, we do Spartan Speak, which is good. Which is good sometimes, and
it's the best.
And we've
Video
had others.
form.
We've had some that aren't as good. So I don't know that. I don't know if or what I'd be listening to. I tell you, the one I enjoy a lot, which is both Michigan and Michigan State, is Dylan Burkhart and Brendan Quinn in the Moving Screen, which is basketball. And I listen to that a lot. Big Ten hoops and Michigan State hoops, like mowing the lawn every week. That would probably be it.
The Danimal, between refs, rain, Spartan Bob, lucky play, pandemic year, etc. Has MSU ever actually won a game against Michigan? Keep crying, Harbaugh.
So, Spartan Bob, though, I'll give Michigan fans this. That was the long second. That was a long second.
Yeah.
But that was at a different
Spartan Bob second.
That was a different era, though, too. That was before, the rivalry had shifted. I look at this rivalry in stages, everything 2008 and beyond, sort of the answer to Mike Hart, the 10 and 14. And
back in the day when you had a 70-year-old diehard Michigan State fan running the clock for some reason.
What a world.
What the? I mean, we still have old guys carrying chains for some reason. The Danimal, if Bama loses to Georgia, do they still get in the college football playoff with 2 losses? Feels like college football playoff is setting that up by putting them number 2.
It's a good question. I'm a little like I would want an undefeated Cincinnati and above them. I think it depends what it looks like and what happens around them. Like if they get hammered by Georgia and it's clear Georgia, like to me that sort of becomes the playoff in a certain way. There's no question that Georgia's just at another level than Alabama. Now, then again, though, if that's competitive and that's their other loss, there might be an argument. Is that Graham Stouting it enough?
I guess so, yeah. Ken Chu, when the opposition is on offense and they make a substitution late in the play clock, why doesn't MSU substitute as well and force them to use a timeout or take a delay of game penalty?
I
don't know.
Yeah, I don't have the answer to that. They could do it. They could. Thanks, Ken.
Cockburn.
Ken Chu, is the playoff committee on SkyMint?
That would make the playoff committee more interesting.
It would make them likable, and
Yes.
they would probably make better choices. This is where cannabis gets a bad rap. I mean, that's old skunk weed that people used to just get all dumb on.
No,
SkyMint cannabis, it makes you a better person and makes you smarter.
Gary Barta would definitely be smarter if he was on SkyMint.
Oh, absolutely. It'd be
Like-
more fun to hang out with.
Yes. Gary Barta, if you're listening, Couch in the Rube promo code is Couch and Rube 20 for 20% off any store in Michigan. And I'm sure you can get over here and get some because he sounded like just a complete jackass when he was just the dismissive nature. And it just doesn't sound that. I'm not a fan, obviously.
Is this where I get the marijuana? Bo McJunkins, is Dan Wolkin still retweeting articles about MSU being one of the worst teams in the country, or is he writing this year's version of calling for Tom Izzo's job for yelling at Gabe Brown? He's your boy, and I miss one of Ken's, but anyway, go ahead.
He did not write that, but he did retweet it, and it was a clickbait story, and it was our company. I'm sorry, we're not going to defend our company when they do shit. There's nothing wrong with writing an article about the worst 10 or 5 teams in the country, perhaps. That's fine. But what you should do, though, is you should try to reach out. Like, if somebody reached out to me and said, hey, is this accurate, like within the company? Do you think there's a chance they are? I would have said, no, this is probably a 6-6 team. Worst teams in the country. First of all, I've covered the MAC. Like 5 of them every year are in the MAC. So if you're doing a top 5 list, don't include Big Ten teams, number one. But I know a lot of people don't like Woken. I don't know him well enough to have an opinion one way or another.
All right, Ken, with this one that I skipped, does MSU undo perversity?
Just a play on words.
I should have skipped that one.
Yeah.
Bo McJunkins. This week I heard rumors of Michigan players destroying the locker room after the 2018 Devin Bush game in East Lansing. Is there any truth to that? Rumor was Michigan players didn't use the toilet and used the floor instead.
I don't know the details, but there is truth to the destroying of the locker room. Yeah. I don't know that they didn't use the toilet.
They took a dump on the floor?
I don't have the specifics, but I do know that they were not kind to the locker room.
I have a friend that told me a story about a coworker getting fired and the coworker took a dump in the elevator.
That's intense.
They got shit canned, no pun intended, and went to the elevator and took a dump in the elevator. I mean, come on. I mean, really? Jesus. Bo McJunkins. How should we feel about Scotty Hazelton? The defense is one of the worst in the country by yardage, but their strategy is working beautifully in the red zone more often than not.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know if long-term that he's a brilliant defensive coordinator or anything, but what I do know is what they're doing is working, and what I'm impressed by, not just him but the players, is defense. A defense that gets shredded, that should shred your ego, and they don't seem bothered by like Scotty Hazelton's not reacting to giving up 552 yards by saying, "Screw it, I'm going to change who we are. We got to do something different." They're winning that way. They're winning by bend but don't break. They're winning by keeping their confidence and swagger and dancing around like they've just shut a team out when they do make the play late. That takes that keep chopping mentality that they bought into. That takes a certain fortitude that I think this team has, and Hazelton deserves some credit for that.
Kevin from Rochester Hills, will Mel keep his team focused and win at Purdue or get embarrassed?
I think they'll be focused. I just don't 100% know they'll win, but I think they're going to win. I like the line -3. I would download the Firekeepers app right now. Go to the iCasino from Firekeepers. I'd bet Michigan State -3, and you could even bet the money line and make it part of a parlay. And if you want to feel a little bit better, but I'm not. The -3 doesn't scare me. I think it'll be a competitive game, but I think 3 is a really good line for Michigan State.
If he was going to bet,
if
he can because
bet,
he's covering the game, that'd be weird.
Can't do that.
Kevin from Rochester. My wife asked if Raccoon Graham will be in the area to finish our extra Halloween candy. WTF?
So his wife listens too.
Why do you say it like weird voice like that?
I always worry about that. I guess
his wife listens too.
No, it wasn't supposed to be creepy.
You did. You had that
it was
creepy
not creepy.
voice.
It was not creepy. It was not creepy. I apologize.
You had like Instagram comment guy.
Oh no! Fix that in post. Fix that one in post.
Oh, his wife listens too.
No, that it wasn't supposed to be.
Right on, Kevin.
It wasn't supposed to be like a Groovy Donuts orgasm type thing that I sometimes have.
Facebook Live. You can actually see me on video. Silver Spring Spark.
I always get concerned about it's my own wife not listening that's important. So actually, I would be very happy if Kevin's wife's listening.
Silver Spring Spartan. Will Spartan Stadium ever receive the 2005 press box expansion on the visitor side? What about an end zone upper bowl and replacing more bleachers with seats?
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, there is some facility work. I don't think it's going to be that, though, with Spartan Stadium. And you're never going to see that press tower. That press tower is expensive and huge, but you just don't need it on the other side. And maybe down the road if they want a certain way and everything. But it would, I think, make it, you'd feel a little less out in the elements on that side of the upper deck, but I don't see it happening.
Clint Bainey, why does the voice in my head tell me Michigan State beats Ohio State?
Michigan.
Michigan beats Ohio State. Can't they somehow both lose this game?
They can't now. Even with the overtime rules, they just play like endless 2-point conversions. What
13th overtime.
What is the best? Well, first of all, the Michigan State Ohio State game is before that, so you'll have a sense of where you stand. But say Michigan State loses to Ohio State, and you're starting to look at all sorts of tiebreakers, which there could be different ones in play depending on what Michigan does before then and everything. Are you rooting for Michigan though in that game? If you're a Michigan State fan,
yes,
I think you are too. I think. Yeah.
What do you consider rooting?
Well, you want them to win.
Oh,
I mean, I'm saying
you don't have to stand up.
I'm not saying you paint your chest, tattoo, go blue.
And if Ohio State wins, I sit there in silence for an hour. Dark Mantonio, or Eric Larson, excuse me. What is Michigan's obsession with Irish quarterbacks? McCarthy, McNamara, McCaffrey, Shea Patterson, O'Korn? Is it because Harbaugh is Irish too?
I hadn't thought about it, but Joe Milton might have been Irish. Who knows?
Dark Mantonio, should Michigan fans with Juwan Howard and MSU fans with Mel Tucker temper down their expectations? We all remember how high Michigan football was in Harbaugh's second season, but since it's been okay to pretty good and never great, so greatness is not guaranteed.
I think you should have fun in the moment, though. I don't think there's anything wrong with Michigan fans at the beginning of Harbaugh being, hopeful, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I think Michigan State fans, this should be fun. This should leave you full of hope. Will there definitely be years where it isn't as charmed, where things don't go well? Will those be different sorts of challenges for Mel Tucker? Sure. But right now, you should hope for the best. You should hope that you're turning into the next Clemson or whatever, program that just has a meteoric rise. And the thing that should give you hope if you're a Michigan State fan is that you've seen it happen from a certain place first of all, you've seen your own football program have a pretty good run. And then you've seen your basketball program do it for 25 years from a place where they were a middling spot in the Big Ten.
Dark Mantonio, on a year-to-year basis, is Michigan football losing to Michigan State more deleterious to them than it is for MSU losing to Michigan? Never seen that word.
Causing harm or damage.
You knew that off the
No,
top
I
of your
just
head?
looked it up. So in other words, is Michigan? Yes, I do think that it drives Michigan more crazy. Michigan State, and part of it's because Michigan State has had enough success against them lately that they don't feel completely like, even if Chase Winovich comes out and has a lack of perspective comment, they don't feel completely put down. I think it drives Michigan fans insane that they've lost a grip on this. I do.
Last one from Dark. I've asked you this question 3 times, and no answer, you delusional prick. Your description of yourself, not mine. Ha, ha, ha. But again, is Buddy Boeheim a pro?
Sorry, I keep putting this away because I don't know the answer, and I waffle enough as it is. The thing is, when you look at some of the guys who are shooters who become pros, he's got a chance. It's all about being that consistent in that role as a pro. And what was the kid out of Michigan with the Miami?
Duncan Robinson.
Duncan Robinson. Like, if Duncan Robinson can, but look at the discipline and the accuracy. Like, if you're going to be a shooter as a pro, you gotta hit.
You got to shoot.
You got to shoot. So I don't know. I don't know the answer. I think he'll get a shot.
You want to be a shooter in the NBA, you got to practice. Call me out. What's stranger, Steven Izzo having Mateen for a middle name, or Hondo naming his son Duffy? It's Duffy.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing?
And it's not actually his son's name. His son no longer calls himself Duffy. I think the kid eventually was like, okay,
Duff Dog?
Dad, I'm done here.
What does he go by then?
Whatever his real name is. I don't think his actual name was Duffy.
That's a nickname?
Yeah.
He had a real name, but he called him.
Yeah.
Dude, that's worse. I'm so glad you told me that. Call me out. Store-bought chocolate milk, Kroger, or homemade with syrup. Graham looks like a homemade with syrup guy with a big old spoon. Been looking forward to this all day. I just love the clang of the spoon against the glass.
Yeah. No, you know what, though? I do like store-bought, too. I like chocolate milk.
Did you really Graham Stout the milk question?
Yeah, I did. I Graham Stout.
Oh, shit.
I'm not very good at this.
Neurotic Pants. Did Tucker tell Rocky Lombardi he had to go? How is he doing this year?
He's doing great. He's having a great year. They lost last week, but he threw for like 500 yards against Kent State. And what he's sort of proven is, I didn't know at the MAC level, like the quarterback drop-off isn't always very much, if at all. And I didn't know that he would have success. And he's shown that he's a pretty decent quarterback, and good for him.
Mr. Neurotic Pants. Graham, have you ever written movie reviews? How many times do you see the movie? Jason, how do you evaluate the quality of one of those movies?
Well, I've written a couple movie reviews, but
Graham doesn't have
college.
a good track record.
But yeah, I mean, it was like college newspaper stuff. I'm not a great movie review guy because there's a trick to doing it without giving away everything, but also reviewing it. And I've never been great.
You just tell the whole story of the movie.
Yeah, I've never been great at that. So and people, I do like. What I like is somebody who can tell me, Graham, you're going to like this movie. This is a Graham movie.
Wow. Someone loves himself.
Love Actually.
Um,
No, but I had a buddy in college who was a film major, who's a filmmaker to this day, writes screenplays, and he wrote film reviews for the student paper. But they would go off to something that like the director was in town, and it was something they were going to go off to some screening. We were at Columbia College, Chicago, and half the dorm was going off in their trench coats to watch this freaking artsy film. And I'd look at him, and he'd go, "Not a Graham movie. Cool. I'm staying here. I'm gonna watch the game." We had an understanding. He understood exactly what I was going to like. It wasn't. Sometimes there were artsy movies that I would like, but he understood what I wasn't. Like Memento. I don't ever need to see that shit again. Like, fucking tell a story chronologically once in a while, would you? Okay, sorry. Mulholland Drive. Why? Who made that movie? Who greenlit that?
Neurotic Pants. Why do MAC teams use onside kicks so much?
Because their defenses are horrible and they have to. They need the ball back. They need the ball back. I covered a 66-63 regulation game between Toledo and Western Michigan. I believe it was regulation. Yeah, once.
Hit the over. Neurotic Pants. Fair State would be a boring place to go to school, huh?
I don't think so. Like, it's like Western Illinois. Some of these places out not far from the sticks. As long as you're, young and you got beer and you're around your friends, I think it's great.
Yeah. Waistline Tucker. How are Tootsie Rolls still a thing?
I mean, they're not bad. You like Tootsie Rolls?
Oh, yeah, only in like the sucker form, right? Where the sucker, like the cherry red Tootsie Pop.
Oh, not the chocolate, not the actual chocolate.
And then when you get to the Tootsie Roll, you throw it out.
Okay.
Waistline Tucker. Can the Rube explain what a waistline tuck is? I don't know. What's a waistline tuck?
It's just when you tuck your shirt in right around your belly button, right? When your pants are way up. That's got to be a waistline tuck, right?
Is that? Oh. I don't know. Yeah, sure. Jason Akins. I found Kalamazoo travel literature in my local Belden Village Mall in North Canton, Ohio. Is this Graham's doing? What is your favorite Kalamazoo tourist attraction? Oh shit. we got to get out of here.
They got an air museum. No, I only went to that once, but no, I mean Kalamazoo is a great place to live. As a visitor, it's. But
if you're in Canton, Ohio, and you see a Kalamazoo travel guide, you sit there and go, "God damn."
No, there's a lot of good
summer,
stuff. Great
I found our place, guys.
Go on a brewery tour. There's a lot of good stuff in Kalamazoo. Just live Kalamazoo. Kalamazoo is one of those places you just want to exist in.
Just breathe it in. Akins, can Ricky White come back to the team? Do you think he will? And from Rick Darnell, having been held out of team activities since last spring, any chance at all that last year's Wolverines killer, Ricky White, sees the field this season, especially with Naylor out?
Yeah, I don't know what the eventual resolution will be in terms of him and the team. But my guess is he doesn't play again at Michigan State. That would just be my guess that he goes somewhere else. Could be wrong on that. That would be my hunch on it.
Gluten Weasel. Is it me or is Indiana the most boring state to drive through?
Ohio's up there, man. The Turnpike's rough. Iowa's got good roads, though, at least. They're smooth.
All right. Gluten Weasel. Why is daylight savings time still a thing?
Some people don't want it to be a thing.
It shouldn't be. I don't want to wake up and it's like dark out.
I don't like the on the other end when we lose the hour. That's always a shitty Sunday morning. Like, oh crap,
yeah, but you're not in high school anymore. Like, why do you care?
I got to play basketball.
Just get over it.
Yeah.
Oh. Hans Jurgen. How does one know when they are consuming too much coverage and are too invested in their alma mater? I ask because I almost fainted during Kenneth Walker's 58-yard game-tying touchdown run.
Yeah, you're just having fun. I think that's I can imagine a lot of people almost fainted during it.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy. Is the Rube married yet? God, I wish. I wish this whole thing was over.
Wait, so the wedding's becoming a pain in the ass for you?
Yeah, because there's some family stuff that kind of bums me out. Like some can go, some can't. I don't,
Well, just because it's going to be a destination wedding.
No, because people hate each other in the family.
Yeah.
There's some strife, and it just bums me out. I wish everybody could go, and I can't wait until everyone leaves because we're staying an extra 3 days. So no offense, but I can't wait till everyone leaves.
Would Johnny Galecki be there?
I hope so. Fly in on his private jet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Upper Deck Jerk Guy. Does MSU need to make the playoffs for Kenneth Walker to win the Heisman?
No, I don't believe so. You need to be a winning team, and they are that. And he needs probably one more Heisman moment. To me, what he needs is a day in Columbus that looks pretty good.
Jerk Guy. How much can we figure out about the Spartans from their exhibition games?
You can figure out some things, just not everything. Like because what you don't know is what happens when some of these matchups no longer are favorable to them. For Gabe Brown or for Marcus Bingham, it gets harder. I think you see Max Christie and you go, that guy, he's letting it come to him when he needs to, he's going to be their best player. So there are things you can figure out. Tyson Walker, that works. Tyson Walker and Joey Hauser, that works. There are things you can figure out, but not anything more. They need to be done with these exhibition games and get on with Kansas already.
Do you ever just want to tell Izzo how to coach his team again?
Every once in a while.
Coach my team.
Every once in a while. And it's happened recently, not that he said that back to me, but I went to ask him a question even on media day, I think, at MSU, and he didn't even hear my full answer, and he thought I was going somewhere else, and he was, I don't want to say annoyed, but he was, and it just takes it off. I just need Tom to listen to the full question.
Coach my team.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy. Any truth to the rumor that Graham is writing Izzo, the musical?
What, midgets from the UP? Is that what we're doing? Is that what it's called? I don't know.
Right now, either you're stuttering or I'm not picking it up because it's what. So.
And the last one from the Jerk Guy, is Graham using a man's ear yet?
Getting there. Going to have to start getting in the weight room.
I mean,
again.
if you're putting on a man's ear, do you need anything else to tell you to go to the gym or something?
Well, then the worst part is if
tough.
you're like me and you're somebody who at one point bench pressed quite a bit and bench pressed seriously, as we did on this show live, right? We did 12.
Your arms are a foot and a half long.
I
trained for it.
I did 225
so
12 times, right, or whatever it was.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. I'm just saying the problem is when you stop bench pressing, as I did during the pandemic, you can do push-ups. The pecs just become breasts, and that's what I have now. It's not good. It's not pretty. I do need I need the man's ear. We appreciate Groovy Donuts for all their support. Go to groovydonuts.com, place your order today, or go to either location on Lake Lansing Road or in Williamston. And thanks to Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue. Begin your weekend days at Midtown Brewing Company. Thanks to Skymint, as always, skymint.com for location information and specials. Use the promo code CouchRube20 for 20% off. And thanks to our newest sponsor, our Friday sponsor, our great, I feel really good about this. I'm really excited to have on Firekeepers Casino. Download the Firekeepers iCasino app. Play through them today. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.